Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone. The topic is cultivating presence. And part of presence is being honest. So I'm going to have to be honest with you because when I came along, I prepared a PowerPoint single slide, but I came along without my projector. So if you wouldn't mind just imagining a big tree on the screen, it's actually a cover of a CD, which you might wish to make an investment in. But the tree is a big old tree with big roots spreading all out, all around. This word presence is a bit of a complicated one, and initially I wasn't quite clear on what this word meant, whether it had something to do with Christmas, but it definitely doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. If any of you are old enough to remember or have gone to Billy Graham's sermons or seen Martin Luther King on television, you will have some idea what presence means. These people, they can really pull a massive crowd, and I just don't know how they do it. But that is real presence, if you have the opportunity to see some films of that. So what really is presence? It's having a full commitment to your communication. Your commitment physically, your commitment emotionally, intellectually, to your process of communication. Now, I wanted to obtain this art, and initially I spent a lot of money, many thousands of pounds, on neuro-linguistic programming. I went to courses with the founder of it, Richard Brandler, and it did cost a lot of money. Never really got to the bottom, never really got to the answer of what presence was. Well, and never really got to the answer of how to incorporate it into myself. More recently, I've been looking into the problem of patients who have low self-esteem, and looking into the American Psychological Association. And I've been having a bit more joy there. And that particular CD, which should have been projected on the screen, is a CD about the topic of presence from the American Psychological Association. So, what is presence? So we can think of presence as two things. One would be empathy, and the other one is another strange word, congruence. Now, some of you may not be familiar with the word empathy. The empathy is when a doctor is talking to a patient, and the doctor's fitting well, and the patients may not be fitting well, may have severe psychological disease, may have terminal disease, or may have recently been diagnosed with terminal disease. So what the doctor has to do is to put themselves into the patient's shoes in order to get some communication with the doctor, with the patient, about these quite severe illnesses. So that's something we're taught at medical school. So that if you want to obtain presence, you've got to consider doing this little trick. So that is empathy. Now, the congruence, this is a word which, you know, I would have trouble defining, but let me just break it down. So we've got congruence over here. So we can break congruence down into two things to start off with. Inner awareness. So how are we going to obtain congruence with inner awareness? Well, what's very much mode nowadays is mindfulness. So if you practice mindfulness, which is what that CD is all about, you will improve your presence by practicing your mindfulness. So that is your inner, it's working just on you, it's not working on your audience, it's just on you, working on your mindfulness and your inner awareness. The second part of congruence is transparence. So, and that's got more to do with you and me and the relationship between us. Transparency. But again, you might feel that that's a bit of a vague term, so we need to break down this word transparency. And transparency, we'll start off with one thing that transparency is feeling and doing. So what we do, we've got to feel. So if you remember, for example, O.J. Simpson's trial, and that black lawyer, he was defending him, and he was jumping around saying these police are racist. They planted the evidence, and it's all a set-up job. He wasn't really congruent, because he was really more dramatic. If he wanted to be really congruent and he was angry, he should have had sweat coming off his face, and he should have had a red face, and he might even have lost his voice. So it's seeing, it's doing and feeling. So that's the first part of transparency. Now, another part of transparency is non-vocal communication. And how might we do this? Now, if instead of talking to you here and now in this room, I might be at a funeral and we might have somebody in a coffin in front of us. So I'd be feeling very sad. I wanted to express this, so I might just put my hand on my heart while I'm talking to convey this meaning of sadness. Another one which I saw recently, I watched this singer, Bryn Turnbull, a Welsh singer, on the breakfast program, and he sang a song, and the song was all about money, and he was doing this gesture as he was singing, and it was very effective. So that's non-verbal communication, appropriate movement with your hands. So another one is one of the hypnosis tricks. One of the hypnosis tricks is breathing synchronization. So with the other person, you get your breathing synchronized with them, and then they'll start to move with you, and they'll start to be thinking with you. You can do other gests, like if they scratch their nose or cover their mouth. That will establish the communication, but they might start saying, "Oh, you're taking a piss." But if you're just doing the breathing, they won't pick it up. So that's another trick for establishing transparence, congruence, presence, synchronization of breathing. And another one, which is the one that we're told to do, and which is why I have the video to try and make sure that I do it, is eye contact. When we're talking, give our eye contact, focus, 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 as we're talking, going around, to establish that presence and communication between you and me. And just to cap it off, how you can also do presence is to finish off with a good visualization of our tree with the roots going around, and the roots intermingling with other roots, and having presence. So I hope that you're inspired by my topic of presence, and I don't expect you to spend thousands of pounds on NLP courses, but you might consider spending, say, £7 on this American Psychological Association's CD, which you can listen to each day and do you a lot of good. Thank you very much, everyone.